Hey Larry, this is a video response to your video about the first time driving, which was a great video. It was a good story. My first time was back when I was 17, 1998. I was preparing to take driver's ed for that summer school, and I know 17 is late for most people to start driving because, you know, they usually start at 15, 16, stuff like that. But anyway, I was about to take driver's ed, so I had like a few weeks to learn, and it paid off because in the beginning I had to drive a Ford Expedition, which was a huge car, but it was, or a huge van really, but it was basically the smallest car we had at the time, because the other option would have been this huge Chevy van, which was like twice the length of the Expedition. So anyway, I drove that, and the first time was, it was pretty weird because it was so high off the ground. Every time I came to a stop, it felt like I was falling off. I was kind of like falling off the end of, you know, the earth, or falling off of, you know, something. Let's see, like I said, the reason I drove that was because it was the only real option I had. And it turns out that after I started driving it for a little while, I got used to it. You know, parking came more natural, accelerating came more natural because it had a really touchy accelerator. So every time I would be at like a traffic signal, I would press on the gas a little bit and whoop, you go forward, and I'm like, oh my god, and then I push on the brake, ah! So it took a little time to get used to that, but once I got used to it, it was really good. It was really easy to drive, even though it was way up off the ground. And the first time I drove was just down the neighborhood street, which was about half a mile to a mile, I think. And then I did like a 50-point turn, turned around, came back the other way, and I was probably going about 10 miles an hour the whole time, my first time. But I do want to talk about this later on, before driver's ed, like a couple weeks after I first started driving with it. I actually went down this road, and then we had like an interstate, and the off-ramp was like leading on to where I was driving. So I drove down this road, and all of a sudden I see this on-ramp that's coming, that has cars coming down the same direction I'm going, and I'm like, oh my god, what am I going to do? Because I had an idea, but I was too scared to really, you know, keep going forward. So I kind of slowed down instead of speeding up, because we're supposed to just like keep going to keep the traffic behind us going. So I just slowed down a little bit, slowed down a little bit, slowed down a little bit, and meanwhile my dad is telling me, speed up, speed up, speed up. And I ended up passing this guy like really close, and I was really like freaked out. So I ended up having to pull over because I didn't want to get into an accident. And I got out of the car, and you know, I'm sure this happens to a lot of people that drive for their first time, or they're just getting used to driving. Their parents tell them, or whoever's training them is telling them, get back in the car, you know, you'll get over it. Because if you don't get back in the car now, you'll probably end up, what'll happen is you'll probably end up getting scared later, and you'll be like, I'm too afraid. So if you get over it then, it turns out that that's like the best time to do it. So I got back in the car, I ended up driving home, and that was that. So that was my first experience driving. And it was a good experience. In driver's ed, when I finally took driver's ed, I did really well in that class and passed it on the first time, which is good because there's a lot of people that don't. But that's my story, and there you go. See you later.